Hello, and welcome to Coaching Corner with me, Tracy Forsyth. So recently I've been having conversations with clients, and a theme that comes up is how to find your voice, especially if you're in a room that feels intimidating or talking to people who might be more senior to you or more knowledgeable about a subject. All of those kind of things. So it's typically this kind of scenario that you walk into a room full of senior people, sort of people with titles and gravitas and confidence, and suddenly your own voice kind of like shrinks, so that inner critic pops up, and you kind of think, oh, don't make a fuss, don't say something stupid, don't put your hand up in case you might be wrong, just get through it. But the truth is that you're not in that room to be agreeable. That's not the primary aim. You're there because your thinking moves things forward. You're there to add value. You're there to be able to use your brain to help the situation. So finding your voice isn't necessarily about being louder. It's about being grounded, clear, and credible. So here are some ways that might help if you're one of those people that struggles to find their voice. And I think most people have been there. Yeah. So the first one is to prepare your point of view, not just the facts, the data. So before the meeting, ask yourself, what is it that I want to say? What is it that I want to land? What is it that I want them to think or feel or decide by the end? In Fast Track to Fearless, I talk a lot about really getting to the key message, because people are busy and they just need things in very simple form. So what is the core message in one line? And what's the why behind it? Why should they care? So when you have a point of view, it's easier to kind of lead the room, not just kind of be there to kind of inform it. So the second one is like a physical thing. It's like anchoring your body before you speak. I always used to use oceanic breath from yoga just to feel really grounded. But, when whatever the technique is, whether it's like, whatever you need to do, dropping your shoulders, planting your feet, taking a breath before you speak. Some people say speak on the out breath. It steadies your tone, if you can remember to do that. But I think that the most confident people, they don't really rush, do they? They might speak at pace, but they take their time. They go at their own pace. So the third thing is to use some sort of structure. So nobody needs the whole kit and caboodle of what you're thinking. We need to clarify it and curate it. So there are a couple of structures that you can adopt, which keeps you clear under pressure. And all of this, you can prepare in advance. So one structure is situation, insight, recommendation. So what's the situation? What's the insight? And what's your recommendation? So for example, we've seen engagement drop by 20%. The reason is X. My recommendation is Y. So it's very clear cut. It's calm, authoritative, focused. Or you can try it the other way around. You can do recommendation, insight, and then examples to illustrate that insight. So my recommendation is this. This is because of this insight. And here's some examples of that to back that up. So whatever it is, go prepared. Yeah. So the fourth one is about how you turn that fear into focus. If you do have like an inner critic or self-doubt that pipes up saying, well, you might be wrong, they might not like this, people might not agree with you. You have to remind yourself that it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you being liked. You are there, in a workplace to make the work better. And it's normally about, when you have to speak up in groups like that, it's normally about you're working together on a company mission or a higher purpose. So really you are adding to that. You're not there to be liked. You're there to help the team, the group achieve their higher mission. So I think it's sort of like that reframe helps pull you out of yourself. It's not about you. And back into how are you helping the company, the organization, etc., achieve a goal. So another one that you can do, number 5, is to practice being heard before the high stakes moments. So, using low pressure spaces, team meetings, social events, even dinner with friends, whatever. You might be very different out of work to in work, but just practice expressing a clear opinion. Yeah. It just sort of builds a muscle and builds a muscle memory for when you really need it. So the last one is really important. Is finally, just don't apologize for having a voice. You don't need permission to speak. Yeah, you're there for a reason. You earned your place. If it's a work situation, you were hired for that job. They want your opinion. Yeah, they want your contribution. You're not a nuisance. You're necessary. Excuse me. So fast track to fearless, I think for me is about, that moment that when your insight changes the direction of the conversation, and that's because you had the courage to kind of speak it. So don't keep all the good stuff up here. Make sure it actually comes out and is shared. Yeah. Don't waste it. Don't lock it away here. Just get it out there. Yeah. So, yeah, listen, I hope that's helped find your voice. If you want more, I've got more. Just practice all that. And here's to you. I'll see you next week.